Have you ever wanted to make your own podcast? Anchor can help. It's free. The creation tools allow you to record and edit right off your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from it too, with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I think that
at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yes, for sure. And I think a lot of the blame actually goes, and like you said, I don't want to only say blame, but also credit, and a lot of it goes to the quarterback as well. So yeah, you were right about the quarterback being an integral part. Like, he's the main guy on that team. He's like the leader of the players, per se. The coach is the leader
so maybe
of the coaches. You know,
so maybe that motherfucker should be the one to get fired.
And they sometimes are, and they sometimes are benched, and they sometimes are traded, and you know, season comes to an end, and they go, "Yeah, we don't need your ass no more. You know, you suck." Go to another team. I'm sure they don't say it like that. Who knows what goes on in the locker rooms? So anyway, but I don't want to turn this into a sports show. I'm glad we did get into that, though. That's actually feels pretty good to talk about that team because of all the frustrations.
That team. You said that team.
I know a lot of my Cowboy friends are going to get a kick out of that one. Yeah. So go ahead and.
All right. So we're going to go into a quick break, a word from our sponsor. And when we get back, what are we going to be talking about, bro?
We're talking about people that don't allow others to be themselves, and they meddle in their business, and they judge them and all that good stuff.
Yes, judgmental individuals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, stay tuned. A word from our sponsor.
We're back, and we're going to talk about what our main topic is. Like I said, we're going to talk about the people.
No, bro. You got it all wrong.
There we go. Yes,
that's my 2 cents into being judgmental and overbearing. Yeah, how you like that? Huh?
Yeah, I like that. That was good. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I thought you really had something to say there. But
well, actually, I do. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I do have a whole lot to say.
Here we go.
You know, we're just. I think we should just jump right into it and skip some formalities. You know,
okay, sure.
Judgmental and overbearing people.
It is called off.
I'll say honestly, I believe. When I was younger, I didn't really notice it, but as I grew older, I kind of noticed it in myself, and I believe at some point, I think I was overbearing. Not that I meant to be, but I realized that like I have a lot to say,
right?
You know, and I have a lot to say, and as the thoughts come to my mind, you know, they just come out of my mouth
like diarrhea,
you know, and I just can't. Exactly, man. Diarrhea.
Worse for the real family.
Talking, and you know, and I think sometimes it may be even entertaining to people
to see what
and how much I have to say, and maybe I've been tolerated all these years, but you know, as you grow older, you know, you learn stuff about yourself. You know, some
you're not
learn it
listening
sooner,
to me, bro.
Others. No, man, because I'm overbearing. Bro.
Oh,
don't you get it?
I see.
I'm overbearing.
I get it.
Don't make me judge you, bro. Don't make me judge your ass, okay?
No judgy.
But yeah, so go ahead. You say your piece about, you know, judgmental and overbearing.
I just want to say this, like you know, I'm a person who basically I do what I do. I do me, right? And I let others do themselves, you know. And I feel like people haven't gotten to a point, especially in this country, of, you know, they have like an old school mentality, and I don't like it. You know, it's like, oh, I don't accept people with earrings. I mean, yes, guys have earrings.
Well,
what?
You know, bro, you to differ. I
Okay.
think I've lived in a couple of other spots around the world, but I
I-
believe
Yeah.
when it comes to freedom of speech, thinking,
Mhm.
living, etc., there is no place like America.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No place like America. Because if you want to talk about judgmental and overbearing, man, try living in Europe for a while.
Really? Well, I did.
Strangers
I
that
lived in Bosnia.
you don't even know. They'll call your attention on, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or that's
Mm.
not the way to behave, and things like that.
Well, I lived in Bosnia for 8 months. Not
Uh-huh.
really as a civilian though, so I can't say that I was in society very
Yeah,
much.
but
But
Bosnia was a warlike situation. That's it's a
a little
little
different.
different, I think. I mean,
Okay.
I think what you were referring to, or at least I would like to believe that that's what you were referring to, is in day to
Yeah.
day life without war in the midst of
So
life.
you're
But
saying,
I will say this,
mhm,
since we did bring up war, most wars are because of judgmental and overbearing individuals.
yes, that is true. And anything that goes against somebody's own opinions, morals, values, that kind of thing, I think it creates friction. People don't want to let it
Yep,
go. And
in my
I
opinion,
hate to
and
say it,
this
but
is my
religion
opinion.
is a big one.
Oh yeah, yeah, well, big
It
one,
starts wars.
because they're the biggest judgmental and overbearing people around.
I believe so. And if you're Christian and or very religious listening to this, I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna be judgmental against you because
We actually did do a show where we talked about religion and
yes,
the importance of religion
it's
in
just
raising children.
exactly.
But I
And it's
will
just
say
my
this,
opinion. But
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, if I have to say it that way, in my opinion,
mhm.
um, you know, people want others to live like they do and think like they do.
Yes, yes, yes.
And they, in their mindset, they believe that they're making the world a better place,
Right.
you know. But but go ahead, continue with what you were saying.
But, yeah, I just wanted to list some things off and and then I want you to tell me how you feel and and maybe others can write in to our off the cuff podcast at gmail.com email address and just let us know how they feel about this. Like for instance, number one, I'm not a fan of people telling others how they should live um, because everybody else is living the same way. You know what I mean? Um,
So now, bro, I have to play devil's advocate.
okay.
Your children are your world, and
Yeah.
they are the sunshine for you.
Mhm.
Um, do you not tell them how they should live?
Whoa, that's a good one. Um,
Ah,
I do.
because you see, at some point,
Mhm.
when Shayla gets to being close to being a senior in high school, uh,
Right.
she's going to say, "Oh, my dad is so judgmental and overbearing."
Oh yeah. I told her
I
that
know
too.
my
That she's
daughter
gonna.
thought so. My
Yeah.
daughter thought so when she
And he's
got
so
to
old
that age.
fashioned
I
and
think it
old
was,
school.
yeah, so old fashioned. Um, I think I've told you the story before about how my daughter didn't want me to go inside the school with her. School.
Yes. Yeah.
She said that she could go. And I felt at the moment, I felt like she was embarrassed of me or something. Like I'm letting my daughter down. She's embarrassed of her father. My God, she was
I
like in
know, right?
fifth grade at
It's
the
like a dagger in your heart.
time. Right, exactly. She was like in fifth grade at the time.
Oh, really? That's it?
I
That's
stopped the
10 years old.
car.
That's Shayla's age.
Yeah, yeah. No, my daughter is advanced, man. Let me tell you. So I stopped
I
the
know.
car and I said, "Sweetheart."
Check out the conclusion on episode.
And like you said, I don't want to only say blame, but also credit. And a lot of it goes to the quarterback as well. So yeah, you were right about the quarterback being an integral part. Like he's the main guy on that team. He's like the leader of the players per se. The coach is the
All
leader
right. So maybe,
of the coaches.
so, so maybe that motherfucker should be the one to get fired.
And they sometimes are, and they sometimes are benched, and they sometimes are traded, and season comes to an end and they go, yeah, we don't need your ass no more. You suck. Go to another team. I'm sure they don't say it like that. Who knows what goes on in the locker rooms? So anyway, but I don't want to turn this into a sports show. I did want to. I'm glad we did get into that, though. That's actually feels pretty good to talk about that team because of all the frustrations.
That team. You said that team.
I know a lot of my Cowboy friends are going to get a lot of kick out of that one. Yeah. And so go ahead and
all right. So we're going to go into a quick break, a word from our sponsor. And when we get back, what are we going to be talking about, bro?
We're talking about people that don't allow others to be themselves, and they meddle in their business and they judge them and all that good stuff. So
yes, judgmental individuals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, stay tuned. A word from our sponsor.
We're back, and we're going to talk about what our main topic is. Like I said, we're going to talk about the people.
No, bro. You got it all wrong.
There we go. Yes,
that's my my 2 cents into being judgmental and overbearing.
Yeah,
how you like that?
Huh? Yeah, I like that. That was good. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I thought you really had something to say there. But
well, actually, I do. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do have a whole lot to say.
Here we go.
Which is, I think we should just jump right into it and skip some formalities.
Okay, sure.
Judgmental and overbearing people.
It is called off.
I'll say honestly, I believe. When I was younger, I didn't really notice it, but as I grew older, I kind of noticed it in myself, and I believe at some point, I think I was overbearing. Not that I meant to be, but I realized that I have a lot to say,
right?
And I have a lot to say, and as the thoughts come to my mind, they just come out of my mouth
like diarrhea,
and I just can't exactly diarrhea.
Worse for the real family
talking, and I think sometimes it may be even entertaining to people. And how much I have to say, and maybe I've been tolerated all these years, but as you grow older, you learn stuff about yourself. Some
you're not
learn it
listening
sooner,
to me,
and
bro.
Others, no, man, because I'm overbearing. Man.
Oh, I see.
I'm overbearing.
I get it.
Don't make me judge you, bro. Don't make me judge your ass, okay?
No judgy.
But yeah, so go ahead. You say your piece about judgmental and overbearing.
I just want to say this, I'm a person who basically I do what I do. I do me, right? And I let others do themselves, and I feel like people haven't gotten to a point, especially in this country, of, they have like an old school mentality, and I don't like it. It's like, oh, I don't accept people with earrings. I mean, yes, guys have earring.
Well,
what?
Bro, I think I've lived in a couple of other spots around the world, but I believe when it comes to freedom of speech, thinking, living, etc., there is no place like America.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No place like America. Because if you want to talk about judgmental and overbearing, man, try living in Europe for a while.
Really? Well, I did.
That you don't even know. They'll call your attention on oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or that's not the way to behave, and things like that.
Well, I lived in Bosnia for 8 months, not really as a civilian though, so I can't say that I was in society very much. Yeah, but
Bosnia was a warlike situation. That's it's a little different. I think. I think what you were referring to, or at least I would like to believe that that's what you were referring to, is in day-to-day life, without war in the midst of
so you're saying,
I will say this, since we did bring up war, most wars are because of judgmental and overbearing individuals.
Yes, that is true. And anything that goes against somebody's own opinions, morals, values, that kind of thing, I think it creates friction. People don't want to let it
Yep,
go.
my
Religion
opinion.
is a big one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, big
It
one.
starts wars.
Because they're the biggest judgmental and overbearing people around.
I believe so. And if
Yeah.
you're Christian and or very religious listening to this, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to be judgmental against you because
We actually did do a show where we talked about religion and
yes,
the importance of religion
it's
in
just
raising children.
exactly.
But I
And it's
will
just
say
my
this.
opinion. But
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, if I have to say it that way, in my opinion,
mhm.
um, you know, people want others to live like they do and think like they do.
Yes, yes, yes.
And they, in their mindset, they believe that they're making the world a better place.
Right.
But go ahead, continue with what you were saying.
But, yeah, I just wanted to list some things off and and then I want you to tell me how you feel and and maybe others can write in to our off the cuff podcast at gmail.com email address and just let us know how they feel about this. Like for instance, number one, I'm not a fan of people telling others how they should live um, because everybody else is living the same way. You know what I mean? Um,
So now, bro, I have to play devil's advocate.
okay.
Your children are your world, and
Yeah.
they are the sunshine for you.
Mhm.
Um, do you not tell them how they should live?
Whoa, that's a good one. Um,
Ah,
I do.
because you see, at some point,
Mhm.
when Shayla gets to being close to being a senior in high school, uh,
Right.
she's going to say, "Oh, my dad is so judgmental and overbearing."
Oh yeah. I told her
I
that
know my
too. She's
daughter
gonna.
thought so. My
Yeah.
daughter thought so when she
And he's so
got to
old
that age.
fashioned.
I think it was, yeah, so old fashioned. I think I've told you the story before about how my daughter didn't want me to go inside the school with her. School.
Yeah.
She said that she could go. And I felt at the moment, I felt like she was embarrassed of me or something. Like I'm letting my daughter down. She's embarrassed of her father. My God, she was
I
like in
know, right?
fifth grade at
It's like a dagger in your heart.
right, exactly. She was like in fifth grade at the time.
Oh, really? That's it?
I
That's
stopped the
10 years old.
car.
That's Shayla's age.
Yeah, yeah. No, my daughter is advanced, man. Let me tell you. So I stopped
I
the
know.
car and I said, "Sweetheart, are you ashamed of me?" She's like, "No, Dad, I'm not ashamed of you, Dad. What's so wrong and so much you want me to find out about it? It's better if you just tell me first before they do." No, no, or anything like that. Dad, it's just that you know you're proper. What do you mean? You know, everyone says, "What's up?" You say, "How do you do?" You know. So that's why I don't want. Okay, if you're going to take me inside, just don't talk. you know. And I laughed at that. In fact, not only did I laugh at it, but I actually felt pride in that
Mm,
because I could relate. I could relate to her plight
right.
because when I was a kid, I also didn't want my dad to speak because he speaks like a British man.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Oh,
living in New York City for 50
right.
years and speaks like a British fellow. Eureka, who are these acquaintances of yours?
Yeah, man. I actually
but
like that though. That was cool. Because when your dad walks in a room, it's like he commands that attention. You know what I mean? People look at him because he looks like he has something
Tom,
important to say. So,
Tom, the first time he met my dad, he said,
mhm.
"Dude, your dad is intimidating." And then it's like years later, right?
Mhm.
We were in New York. I was actually living with Tom while I was working at Falcon Store, an IT company up there in Long Island.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, I was living with Tom. And so my dad was in New York City. And he didn't really give me a heads up that he's coming to New York City. He just, Eureka, is your father. I am in New York. perhaps you might have some time. We can get a bite to eat for a bit. So Tom went with me. And he dropped me off actually, and he went off to go do something in the city. He had some work to go do there. And he went to greet my dad, and he texted me on my phone after he left. He said, "Dude, I'm a grown man. I'm married with children. I have a mortgage. I have a job. I make good money. Why is it that your dad is still intimidating to me?"
Even after all those
Even after all these years, man.
He just has that thing.
Yeah, but he
That je ne sais quoi.
That's with me. I guess in a way, I still worry about what he thinks of me, and
Yeah, but and that's getting back to your question. I do tell my kids how to live according to the way I guess we kind of live, but we meaning Heather and I. But I want to say though, like let's say religion, politics, all that. I don't tell them what to agree with, what to disagree with. I let them make that decision. You know what I mean? Even though they're little kids right now, So
Yep,
so I
yep.
feel like I guess I should say I teach them the way things should be, kind of like at work when you're training a new person, right? They teach you the way
Yep,
it's
yep.
going to be, or you teach. This is the way I would teach somebody, a new person. I teach them the way things are supposed to be done. But then later, if you do it your own way, where it comes out, the same result, then that's fine with me. I don't judge that, and that's what I think I mean mostly when they tell people how to live. It's like I don't tell them, I kind of show them how people live, right? How we live and how we do things. We go to work, we, clean the house, just the things that we're supposed to do daily on a daily basis. But if they grow up and, I hope they clean their house, but if I go to their house and it's not that, I might be like, yeah, you might want to clean this house, but, but I'm not going to tell them, you're out of my life because, you can't clean your room right. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you, my mom is the biggest judgment overbearing person in my life.
Yeah.
As you know, my home is a work in progress,
Mm-hmm.
and I would expect that she would see that.
Right.
Her comments to me were, "Yulika, you know, you're 45 years old, and you live like you're camping." You live like you're camping, you know. Okay, I understand. You're doing construction in the house. I understand that, but you can still have things organized. You can still have all these tools and all this junk out of the way. And like, yes, mom.
I know,
Yeah,
yeah.
at some point you just gotta say to
That's all you can say, Yes,
yourself, you can't beat them.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to argue with my mom all the time, but it just creates a certain level of
Animosity.
animosity
Yeah.
and and strife. And one of the things I've learned in life is, and it took me, you shouldn't really stress that much. My mom is only here, but for so long, and I have to cherish that.
Right. That's
You know,
true.
and not to say that she's got any ailments or anything like that.
Right. No, but
She's
look, I
fine.
mean,
She's
everybody's
perfectly
got to
healthy.
go sometime. Yeah. And you
But
want to.
and then I also thought to myself not too long ago. I said, in part, my mom has a big part in who I am today.
Right.
And thank God I'm not a criminal. I'm on the right side of the law.
Right.
Um, and I can think for myself, and I could do a lot. And I attest that to both of my parents and those that came in and out of my life. That marked me forever, like Fred Garcia.
Yep. And just
So to that respect, I've been blessed
hey,
compared to
say
most
this
that I've met. That they just
say this real quick. And gosh darn it, people like me. I'm just kidding with
and
you.
gosh darn it, man, I would like to think that people like me.
They do. They do. But you know what? That comes from like a Saturday Night Live thing. I think it is where the guy was in front of the
Oh,
mirror.
you see, I was totally in the dark. You see, you overbearing jackass.
Oh, man. Now I'm a Democrat, but I'm not a jackass. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one because it pretty much has to do with, like I said, the same thing, but it's just things that I came up with. Like, if you don't agree with the way somebody's doing something in their own lives, don't worry about it, right? I mean, like, why worry about that? It's not your life, it's their life. I mean, I understand some things that people do in their life does affect other people's lives, but if it's not affecting your life in a life or death kind of way, then why even bother telling somebody to live the way you want them to live? You know, I just don't see people
So,
as,
bro, let me ask you this:
yeah,
your mom, does she is she still judgmental over you?
yes. uh,
Yes,
yeah, I hate to
and
say
she
it.
must still think I'm a trapo.
Not that bad. By the way, trapo, for you people that don't understand it in Spanish, it means like a rag. My mother has
A
names
dirty
for it.
rag.
My mom has
It's the
names for it.
rag that you clean the floor with.
It's a dirty rag, yeah. But that was back then, man. You know, when she thought you were nothing but trouble. No, she
Yeah.
actually, bro, she can talk all this mess, bro, about my friends or people, especially you. But as soon as she saw
Mm.
you, bro, she'd be like, "Oh, hi, Ulika." So, you know, to me,
Well,
that's another thing.
I've ran into
Hypocrisy.
her in Colombia in different spots, both her and your sister. It's just like, old familiarities, and it's family. It's family. That's how I put it. It's family
Well,
because
I
I know
got
that I can go to her house at any time,
yeah,
and she will never
yeah,
look
no,
at me funny.
yeah. I mean, she loved it. You went with her to see me in the Navy, you know, because I told her,
For your graduation from boot camp, yeah,
yeah, yeah, and you know, I think that was
she held
awesome.
my arm the whole way, bro.
Yeah, see, so
Yeah,
she
she
didn't
held
hate
my
me.
arm the whole way because
Like I
she
said,
was a little on the afraid side of
mhm,
going out there to an unfamiliar territory,
right,
a woman and her daughter,
and her
you know,
daughter.
and it's the old style thinking, she had a man with her, and
Yep,
this man is like her son, you know.
yeah, yeah, and I appreciate that, by
Plus, I
the way.
always called her
Like
mom.
all these years. What's that? You always called her
Oh,
mom. Yeah,
that was
well, you
my
called her
pleasure.
ma,
Yeah, yeah,
right? You said ma.
ma,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, look,
yeah.
she's a
And let
great
me tell you,
woman.
she was
She,
overbearing with me too, just like my mother would have
yes,
been. You
yes,
know,
yes. And you know, I
we
appreciate
were
it,
all
you know,
in the
but
same
at the
room
same
playing
time,
volleyball.
huh?
I said we were all sleeping in the same room, at the hotel and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
she probably felt
Denise and your
safer
mom
too.
laid
You know?
in bed, and I slept at the other bed.
Yeah.
And one night, um, we had gone out. I walked you back to the base, and
Oh,
then I met somebody, and we were chatting, and it was late, and I came in like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
mhm.
She's like, "Oh my God, I've been so worried about you. Where have you been?
Mhm.
You cannot just go out like that. You know, you don't know where you are. You don't know anyone here."
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but
Just like my mom would have said.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember there was also a time when your mother, when we got in trouble with, I guess the police, uh, and she came out to pick us up. Remember, we got pulled over that one night. This is after I came out of the military, and she came and she
Mm-hmm.
was like, "I don't believe how you and Yulika, you know, you two heads are supposed to be better than one." I was like, "Yeah, I know, I know, mom, I know." So yeah,
I remember that night.
I
I
was
didn't want to be
upset.
released from jail. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna have to hear it
You
from my
have to go
mother."
get up. Yeah. It's like, keep me in here, officer, please.
Oh,
Um,
man.
but I think they took you in because of
Yeah,
the knife they found in your glove compartment.
they didn't find that knife. I told them it was
But you
there.
told them about it.
What happened?
They said it was illegal,
What
right?
happened was, apparently it's illegal to have
Yeah.
4 inches and not fold. Because then he told me while we were in the police station, he said, next time folds.
Right. And then but I have a feeling they would have took you in anyway.
No. Cops they have a quota just like everyone at a job. At your job, I'm guessing you have some sort of quota that you have to meet, some sort of production goal, what have you. And for them, it's no different.
Yeah.
For them to say that they're doing their jobs as police officers or upkeepers of the law, they have to arrest somebody.
Right.
And so that night, I don't know if you remember or not, but what happened was we had gone to a titty bar in DC, and then we were driving up Connecticut Avenue. And at Connecticut Avenue, there's a spot where it veers off to the left, and to the right, it would be University Boulevard. And as soon as you veer off to the left, there is, and this is true, and next time you're in Maryland, go to that spot and you'll see what I'm saying. There's a traffic light that should not be there. Either way, it was a winter night, and there was black ice on the floor. And what happened is I ran the red light because it just went from green to red. In Maryland, for those who don't know, at a certain time, and I don't exactly know what time it was, it might have been maybe 10:30 at night, 11:30 at maybe midnight or something like that. The traffic lights all of the sudden switch from green, yellow, and red. They switch from green or whatever color they're in to blinking red or blinking yellow.
And that was a big
traffic light that blinks red.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to treat it like a stop sign. Unfortunately, when it started blinking red, I was right up on it. So if I slammed on the brakes, we would get into a nasty accident because of the black ice, because that part of where that traffic light is right on a curve. So I was already in the curve. If I slammed on the brakes, that was it. We were going to tailspin, and God knows where we would end up.
And all of a sudden we heard, woo!
Exactly, which is why that cop was sitting there, because he knows that that's what would happen.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere. I was like, what the heck? Where the hell was he hiding?
Now, that knife was a scuba knife. I had just bought it in New York. It was still wrapped up. It was still in its original box, wrapped up with the receipt and a rubber band. And it was in my travel bag. It was like in the back seat or something. Exactly where, but it was in the back somewhere. And I told him, if I have anything that's sharp or that could hurt him or whatever, blah, blah. I said, yes, I do have a knife, but it's still in its original box. I just bought it, and there's the receipt on it. And he charged me with, concealment of a deadly weapon. It wasn't even a person.
Yeah, that's so unfair. But let's go back.
I was embarrassed.
Yeah. Let's go back to the original.
But that officer of the fucking law, he was judgmental and overbearing.
And that's how it relates. I know. and then the other thing is, bro, unsolicited advice is what I call it. It's when you don't ask, somebody for advice, but they give it to you anyway, because you're telling them about a situation that you're in or that you're going to be in. Say, you're going to buy a house, or you're going to sell your own, or you're going to get a job, and they give you like this advice as if you asked for it. So,
excuse me,
if nobody asked for advice, why are you going to just interject? I know people do this, but I'm saying like in a way where it's basically telling you what you should do because that's the only way to do it. And I just believe that there's more than one way to live. There's more than one way to skin the cat. I believe in that saying a lot.
Well, I'll say this. I guess to a certain degree, now in my 45 years of life, I've come to be able to, um, in a way, look at myself objectively. It was very difficult to do, but I do it from time to time, and I'll say that I'm probably guilty of that. Um, you know, it's not because I want to be overbearing,
Mhm.
but just because I can, just because I
Just
care.
because you what? We
You know,
can be.
I care. I care.
Oh, there. Got it.
Like, how many times have you told me off because you felt I was being overbearing, and I didn't ask you
Yeah,
for your
I would
opinion,
say
bro. I was just
right.
what I was thinking of doing or what's going on in my life, and here you are telling me what to do. It's not
I
so
guess I
much that
never
I'm telling you
changed
what.
because I still think that. And I have a friend named Faisal that does the same thing, and I hate telling him things because, and I know he cares. I know he's doing it because he cares, but I'm just doing it. I'm just telling people because I just want to tell people. I don't want advice. If I wanted advice, I'd be like, "Hey, what do I do about this?" You know what I mean? Like, and I hate to be sounding like I'm ungrateful, but it's just, it just irks me, bro.
No, I get it. Each person to their own. Um, as my mom says in Creole, cada todo que se sola de sapato. Every crazy with his own shoe, so to speak. It's
Every
the same.
crazy.
Yeah. It's difficult to translate or interpret that, but
Gotcha. Yeah, I
basically,
understand.
it's meaning to say that you know, um, you know, each person when they wear a shoe, that shoe then molds to their foot, and
It
it's
fits
their
them. Yeah,
yes. So,
yeah.
like, if I go and I wear your shoe, I start to feel all the bumps and lumps and everything else of your foot.
It's not gonna
It's not
be
mine. It's not my shoe. So that's why they talk like that in Cape Verde, regarding um, you know,
shoot.
and each crazy. She's just referring. Everyone has their own insanity, in a manner
Hmm.
of speaking. Everyone has
Right.
their own insanity, in a manner of speaking, and
I believe
they
that.
have.
And the quirks and
But
everything that works
in
for them.
your case, for example, if you mention something to me about either getting your house refinanced or selling your house or something like that,
I would
I
never do
have
that
some.
because I know where that would lead.
Yes, I have some experience in that. So, you know, I get excited about it because I know this information and I know I have helpful information and I love you, bro. So I want you to know this information. However,
Right. I
my
understand.
mannerism of speaking, I may come off as being overbearing or judgmental, you know.
You
Uh,
overbearing jackass.
and I'll give you a prime example. Uh, one of my coworkers, who's becoming a friend, her name is
Mhm.
Carissa. Shout out to Carissa. Um,
Accurate.
we were talking about sleep and so on and so forth, and that's something that I have done a lot of research in. So I get excited about it because I got excited in knowing about myself and sleep. And therefore,
Hmm.
when she mentioned difficulties in sleeping, I just had to share my wealth of information that I have gathered thus far. Perhaps I should have maybe started that conversation or interjected with that conversation by saying, would you like to hear my opinion on the matter? Because I have a lot to say. But I
Right.
didn't. I just kind of diarrhea of the mouth. It
Maria.
was overbearing. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, if Carissa, if you're listening, I apologize if I came off as judgmental or overbearing. I did. It's just the excitement on my experiences and knowledge base, sleep difficulties, and how lack of sleep can actually affect you. That um, you know, I went on and on and on and on and wouldn't shut up. Shout out to
No.
Carissa.
You? Odd and odd and odd.
No, no, man. No, man. It's every once in a while it happens,
Well,
and I
and
acknowledge that.
speaking of that, though, the last thing I have on here is look, we can all be judgmental about things because we're human, things, people, we judge, but we don't have to say that shit out loud to someone. Like, for instance, I'm a fat man, and other fat people exists, if you haven't noticed, and we know we're fat. You know, you don't have to point that out or announce it to everybody. You know, oh look, there's a fat guy. Yeah, I know I'm fat. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like saying, I know I'm fat, but you're ugly, and I could fix my situation. What about you? You know
That
what I
reminds
mean?
me of my mother. Like 10, 12 years, and then when she finally saw you, she's like, "Oh, hi, Jeff. You got fat."
Yeah. And then at the end of that, it was funny because when I left, I remember her saying, you know, there's a gym you can join. I was like, yes, yes, thank you, Bob. Nice to see you again. Goodbye. Oh, my Lord. Yes, just like a Bob.
You know, my dad did the same thing with me too. You know, and I've never considered myself to be a fat person, but in New York, that same time period that Tom took me to go see my dad, or dropped me off to go see my dad, you know, he says, "Oh, ULIKA," and he looks me up and down, and he says, "Oh, you've become fat. You know, you must exercise. You must maintain your physique.
Yeah.
Go out for a jog.
I know he probably cares. He probably cares.
But he cares.
That's a very tactful way to say it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy, man. So that's what bothers me about it. You know, people just not keeping their opinions to themselves or not saying it in a way where, you know, it's tactful.
You know, reciprocally, bro. You know, reciprocally, that goes for skinny people too. Oh my God, you're so skinny.
Right, and you don't think that affects them, but yeah, they may not want to hear that.
Your mom used to say that all the time. Oh my God, aren't you eating? Here, sit down, have a bite to eat.
Yeah,
Jeffrey, go down and get some French fries.
Right. You know, the funny thing is,
make a chicken real quick.
Incidentally, she calls me. She says that I'm gaining too much now. That I need to, you know, and she doesn't say it all the time, but it's like, goodness gracious, just lay off the fatness. But I don't know. And you're right, though. You know,
you feel better. My mom came a few months back, you know, and I picked her up at the Greyhound. Imagine that, you know, she can afford to fly, but she prefers to go on a Greyhound, you know, from Maryland to here. And I go to pick her up at the Greyhound. I'm like, Mom, you know, I haven't seen her in like a year or two, and I'm super excited to see my mother. You know? Oh, ULIKA, you look like you're pregnant.
Oh, shit.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And then I was like, you know, we're talking about something totally unrelated in the car on the way home, and you know, so ULIKA, how did you become so fat? Jesus Christ, Mom. Okay, fine.
You know, he's lucky.
I never really acknowledged that I've gained some weight, you know, or inches rather, you know. I told her I just have gas. It's gas, Mom.
It's gas built up. It'll come out later when you're sleeping.
We get home, you know, I'm in the room. You know,
don't worry about it. It's my
son's room, you know.
Fat ass.
You know, I'm saying goodnight to her. We're chit-chatting a little bit, catching up, and
you
know, she starts laughing while she's talking, and she says, "You think I have a suppository? You need that to get the gas away?"
But see, we can laugh at it, and it's funny, but don't you sometimes think like, man, does she think she's perfect or what? Because that's what I look at my mom and I go, you're not fucking perfect. You know, I mean, or anybody who says things like that all the time. Like my uncle Israel. Oh man, let me tell you. Now, I don't want to make him a devil because I think he changed. I've heard. And I've also kind of seen it because on Facebook, when I was on there, he was like reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, nephew, you know, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah." So I think he's changed a little. But, you know, I'm going to say this story, and I hope that people don't think he's still a devil. But when he first met my wife, and she was my girlfriend at the time, and when you introduce your girlfriend to your family, bro, and there's gonna be things that come out of their mouths, right? Especially Puerto Rican families. And he he said to her, "Oh, how you doing, Heather? I see you on the same diet as Jeff." Bro, ever since that time, bro, I wanted to knock him out, man. So if you listening, Dio, I wanted to knock you out, bro. But look, God bless you, man. Just stay healthy in this COVID time. But I was
Well, at
bored,
least
bro.
you didn't say, "Oh, I see you're fat."
You don't say that shit to people when you first meet them, especially when you first meet them, and especially when they're a woman. I mean, come on, man. What school did you go to? Hard Knocks? Shit. So we took a walk, and needless to say, years later, bro, Heather doesn't like him, and I don't like him, bro. I mean, we don't have to like our family, I love my family, but we don't have to like it. So no, but I'm just kind of playing, but at the same time, man, that leaves an impression, bro. I didn't like when your mom told me I needed a gym, but especially because at the time I thought I had my waistline showing. You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Oh, I'm waistline. Remember that?" And here she comes bursting my bubble, bro, raining on my permission, just squashing all my dreams of being thin again.
You remember Jonathan, right?
I went home and did some push-ups or something, but I didn't. I probably went and watched something on TV. Anyway, go ahead. What'd you say?
You remember Jonathan, right?
Who?
Jonathan Green.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get that motherfucker to reach me, but he doesn't want to, answer his text. I think I took him off my phone. But anyways, go on.
He probably changed his number.
Probably, yeah.
Facebook. That's usually how I reach him.
I'll try.
It might be 2 weeks before he gets back to you, but
yeah, I don't like people like.
Time, and I couldn't believe she said this shit. Helen was like, "Oh my god, I can't. Your mom is terrible. I can't. Oh my god, she was like, Jonathan, I've never seen you with a girlfriend. Are you gay?"
Oh,
come on,
shit.
Mom. What the hell?
God damn, bro,
Jonathan,
that's crazy.
Stride. He gave her a very good response. He said, "No, Mom, I just haven't found the right one that's worthy of meeting you."
Nice.
And that was it. That was a good ass response.
Yeah. Wow. But did he ever say anything about your mom later? Probably not. He never really.
I joked about it like we're joking about it now.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And I know my mom. My mom actually said something like that to Heather. I remember when.
I think that.
Go ahead.
What did you?
I remember when she was visiting, and she, like I said, she was my girlfriend at the time. She was visiting. I was excited to take her home, meet my mom, and see what she thought of her. Well, first thing, and look, my wife and I weren't as big as we are now. We were, at least 50 to 80 pounds less. But she, at the end of the whole meeting, we're saying goodbye. She's saying goodbye, and then she tells Heather, "Oh, next time maybe by the time I see you, you'd have lost some weight." And I'm like, "Really?"
Oh, Jesus.
I'm looking at her like, "Really, Mom? That's what you have to say? The last thing you want her to remember about you is that?" And you know what? It pretty much is the last thing she remembers. Because, I mean...
And let me guess, every time you guys have an argument, she brings up your mother.
Yeah, we do have arguments. Not so much now, but sometimes what it is, because now I'm getting annoyed with her. You know what I mean? I'm 45 years old, bro. It's only so much you can take. As you get older, you just gotta let them have it, man. And you gotta tell them something, about themselves. Like in the '90s, tell them about themselves. You know what I'm saying? And I did.
Right.
It's just like, come on, Mom. You really judgmental. You know that, right? Like, what's wrong with
Now,
you?
I'm going to tell you,
Insecure.
here's my side of being, judgmental and overbearing. Okay, I'm going to give you some unsolicited advice. I'll tell you this: my daughter went to go live. My daughter went to go live in Washington State.
It's gonna be a
boyfriend.
3-hour show, bro. But go ahead.
Huh?
I said this is gonna be a 3-hour show.
Oh, it's okay. We could do part 1, 2, and 3. Uno, dos, y tres.
And people, you need to listen to parts 2 and 3 after this.
That's right. And so what I was going to say is the unsolicited advice that you did not ask me for, and I'm expecting the cursing out. When my daughter became she tended to hide a lot of things from me. Like, for example, she and her boyfriend, by the way, Paul, I'm very proud of him. I would be proud any day to call him my son.
Oh,
okay. He has joined the Navy. Yeah. Shout out to Paul. He's joined the Navy. He's done very well in the Navy, and he was stationed in Washington State. I don't know the name of the base, but my daughter went actually first. She went to California. Okay.
Yes.
And every time I called to say hello and see how she's doing, and everything, she wasn't answering phone calls. I called Helen's house. Helen just says, "Oh, well, she's not here right now." She also kept it from me. So in a way, I think this had some influence from her mother. Turns out she was in California. She was going to be there for 6 months. She was doing an internship, part of her school program, And I explained to my daughter, I said, "Honey, you don't have to keep things like this from me. I'm happy that you're traveling. I'm happy that you're doing well with your studies, and that you already got into an internship, because in my mindset, the internships wouldn't happen until her senior year of college, and she is, already doing an internship in her field of study, which was awesome, in my opinion. I was very proud and very happy for her, but I felt some kind of way that she held it from me. Not only her, but her mother as well. And eventually then I thought, okay, she's going to go back in about 6 months or whatever, and around that time period, I was like, "Oh, are you back in Maryland?" "No, I'm in Washington. I came to visit Paul." She didn't go to visit Paul. She was already living with Paul.
Oh.
Check out the conclusion on episode 8.